We are. Okay. Still a little light.
Shoo.
Cool.
Right. Aloha. Yeah, welcome home. Here we are, the Lion's Den for this Pono Podcast series. We're launching, we're birthing it today, right now, together in this co-creation in this space. And so I just feel super honored to sit right now, to come into this purification, to come into this ceremony, you know, and opening it up in spirit, you know, and it's an honor to be embarking upon another journey with you, brother.
Yeah,
you know, it's
same.
like how many adventures and journeys we've already been on in just
So
a
many.
short amount of time,
Yeah.
you know, in this lifetime, but many lifetimes
Yeah.
before. I feel that.
Yeah.
So I wore this red today right now, and as we get started, we were just thinking about bringing in some energy in this in a calendar, the Mayan dream spell calendar. And I like to tune into this on a daily basis and just kind of feel into what the energies are, galactic energies, you know, connecting with that piece. And the Mayans, you know, and so many cultures, right? Indigenous, native, Aboriginal cultures, you know, going all the way back to their origins, have been so their connection, right, is just like so deep. And as we continue to remember the ancients, we're also remembering the future, you know, we'll be able to see the ancient future, right? I feel like you speak to that as often as I do, and I really appreciate our alignment of that. You know, it's like always bringing that into our articulation and awareness and expressing that.
Got it.
So in this one, today's Red Galactic Earth Day, and you know, galactic being the eighth tone, so 13 tones in 20 tribes is kind of and how it unfolds and weaves. And galactic, actually, I'm a white galactic wizard, so same tone, different tribe, you know, in this, but that 8 tone speaks to the integrity. So this one, the mantra is we harmonize in order to evolve.
Yeah.
Modeling synchronicity.
Yes.
Right?
Modeling synchronicity. Yes.
You know, how many days you think about, right? We've been like just surrendering so much to like when this is going to unfold. And so I feel like the synchronicity of it unfolding, even in a day where it speaks to the synchronicity and it speaks to the next piece will come into is.
And the harmonizing is key too.
Oh,
cool.
We seal the matrix of navigation with the
Okay.
galactic tone of integrity, right?
Yeah.
Which also speaks to that, right? The navigation of space, of time, and to be here present on this day is that, you know, in the integrity that we hold, like where no matter what we go back and forth, the integrity in our relationship and in our relationship with ourselves, for me, is like I've never thought, it never was a doubt to me that this would be happening,
right?
You know, it wasn't like, oh, it's, you know,
no
it didn't happen today, or it didn't happen at this time, or any of my, you know, own, like, oh, I need this to happen, this, or letting go of all of that and letting it come in divine time. And that's integrity, you know.
It is. It has to do with a lot of language too. What else we got? Is that all of it?
We're guided by the power of birth.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So as a whole, so all the way through, right? We harmonize in order to evolve, modeling synchronicity. We seal the matrix of navigation with the galactic tone of integrity. We are guided by the power of birth. And the wave spell is white dog, which is around heart, love, and loyalty.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, brother. Yeah, it's a good way to set the tone, you know, of our first foray into this weaving of the ether. And so Pono Podcast. Thank you for having me on. What is Pono Podcast?
Pono Podcast. So we spoke about doing this, getting a podcast. This has been coming up so often, and how we can broadcast podcasts and get more awareness out into the world. Into our communities, you know, as we continue to grow our village and come back into that remembering and our communication is, you know, commune, right? Coming back to the communion, the ceremonies, the community to be with, you know, and so
Communicate the action to.
Yeah, and then to speak to Pono, right, is coming into what it means to be Pono, to be in balance, to be in rightness and right relations, to speak our truth.
Yeah.
And there's so much uncovering, and this is where I'm so glad to come in and start this with you, because that same question be like, so was Pono, when I invited you to this, like what comes up for you in coming into Pono? We spoke a lot about this yesterday too, bro. Like it's a constant question. And,
it is.
And campaign Aloha, like that's like, the slogan or the tag or the mantra, the prayer, Ua maoka aina ike Pono. Right? The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness.
Yeah.
And righteousness sometimes can get who's more righteous than another, and it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not a judgment comparison as to who's more righteous. It's about choosing what is right.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
In a way. Yeah. Cool. That's beautiful. Thank you for answering the question. Can I share something too?
Of course.
Cool.
All the time.
Yeah. So it's like from what we just read to where we're at, right, with the mind understanding. So there is a very important consideration that is done when we absorb this kind of information, because we're receiving it from outside of ourselves, from a people that we don't know. Yet they are giving to us a gift of understanding of relationships and how to relate ourselves to elements, to galactic understanding, to consciousness. And so when we come into it this way and we're offering, that verbiage, that language that goes, it's like, that's the main part, the big service, right? Communication, like you're saying, with community, to commune. This is an etymology, an understanding of the origin of the word, so that we know actually what we're saying. And so when we say it, we actually do it. So in the word, there is life. And in the word, there is death. So either way, as severe it can be, as superficial as it can be, it's still happening. And so when I think about languages, especially if we're absorbing ourselves into deep esoteric knowledge from another people, another culture, it's important for us to recognize that we are not of the culture. We simply have been able to absorb something, and our societal first contact is to extract, right? And there has to be a gentleness there, meaning how do we speak about what it is from what we are coming from with it? How do we address ourselves when we're taking in new information? That to me is what Pono is. Pono isn't simply about righteousness. To me, it's not about right or wrong, or good or bad. That's a different dynamic that involves itself in so many other things. You can call it monotheism, monoculture, or whatever. You can even call it unity consciousness. Unity consciousness implies that somehow everything is for everyone all the time whenever they want it. And I am not a subscriber to that. So when I think of Pono, I think of balance, right? I think of authenticity, I think of harmony. And so if there's right and wrong, it creates a opposition to each other. That somehow if you're in the wrong, therefore we cannot have harmony. Right? If I'm in the right, that harmony will exist. I don't believe that. I believe that these good and bad, these right and wrongs don't exist. There's possibilities and consequences all the time. So Pono is saying you look at the tree, like the maia, the banana. When I went out there, I was like, I gotta go pee. Like over there in the corner, where the banana trees are.
Right, what are the bananas?
Yeah, and then I go have a little visit with her, and I remember that's the mother of the forest. She grows in a spiral, right? And she has her little keiki, these little offshoots that you can pick off and then plant again, and once again it goes. Why is she the mother of the forest? Well, she's more of hydration. She takes in water, and she's tapped into the soil. So when the soil needs to be hydrated, she disperses. She lets loose into her roots so then everybody else gets fed. So when you have more spiraling of bananas in a forest, everybody is being cared for when they need it most. That to me is Pono. Do we interrupt that cycle? No. Because we believe we're right? No. She knows what to do. Let her be herself. Hold her in that balance, and then harmony will be achieved. So it's not what I think about what is right or wrong. It's not what I'm supposing it should be. It is in the language. Mai'a, in the language, same. Mai, coming towards, to be activated towards. Spring forth of life. Sirius, the star Sirius. And we talked about galactic consciousness. It's the planet too, in the language. So when we talk about Pono Podcast, it's like, that's what we're doing. We're serving up language and communication for community to grow. And that's something I appreciate about you. I was like, we have to build the village again. Yeah, like, how about we grow the village? And I was like, yes, that's more on target with Pono to me than building it, because that is supposing that somehow I know what I'm doing and I don't. So may we grow, may we learn.
Wow.
Not get in the way of the things.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I like, the whole time you were speaking, bro, just like so much energy flowing through, my physical body, it's like the energy grow within us as well, right? That's what I was feeling, is like the energy inside me started to also grow.
Yeah.
And I want to come back, because something that I find that I do that I am now kind of seeing sometimes that you may even do as well. I mean, it's more of a question than going in with any assumption around it, but we didn't even introduce ourselves.
We did, yeah.
And I find that I do that a lot, and I think it comes from a more of a space of humility, that like whatever is here is here for this moment, and I'm spirit informed at this moment in time, to inform itself and to be informed by itself, if you will, right? Spirit to inform itself and to be informed through spirit.
Yes. And reciprocity, it's a give and receive.
Yeah. So that identification or that identity, right, is like, coming into it, whereas it's the unique, authentic individuality, authentic individuality is present. There's a humility that brings us back into where we're in communion, and the spirit is here speaking. It's like coming back to like 2:2, the number 2 is like where 2 or more shall gather, right?
Then God is present.
And God is
1
present.
+ 1 = 3. Yeah.
Right. The Holy Spirit, coming into that, which we so much. And coming back, so let's do a quick introduction.
Yeah, let's do a little bit.
Right, on that flow. So I'm Jonah Martin Lyon, and this is Kaalekahi.
Yeah.
I remember when you told me that first one, there's a quick one, I was like, mouthful, new language, and then sitting with that and recognizing how the etymology and how the language and how the characters in the language are put together. So when I see it, after I see it written, and knowing how language or the words and everything's put together, how to use those characters and those letters, then the pronunciation is able to come out more clearly, is to see that. And I appreciate that, aspect about what we share. And to introduce Kale, so we had a round table, and Kale's holding such a powerful seat in the sector realm of spirituality and religion, and religion has also its own this rolling around, but
So
coming
much.
to etymology of religion is the regularity of thing. It's where ritual comes from. It's the repetition. It's what we do as a practice, our own beliefs, our own systems. It's not to be dogmatic or indoctrination points of reference or to bring into that, but rather to look at it like, love is my religion. What do I love to do? That ends up being my religion, right? In that way. And then there's the spirituality piece of like the values, right, the morals, the things that bring some structural or rather embodiment around that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is that there is A spirituality which requires embodiment, right? Like if in order for something to be spiritual, it's not just like what you're claiming, it's what you actually do. So a religion is faith-based. It's like, this is my faith. So this is my philosophy in a way of like life. So it's like, yeah, those things are not separate. It's just like the old, understanding of like, your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits kind of thing. And it goes deeper than that as well. So spirituality and religion are not separate. And even when it comes to introductions, for me, it's interesting because like the feeling of needing an introduction to me is that people want something to attach to so that they have a grasp on who you are. And I come to a place of like, my name should be enough, because everything else that I can talk about in this way is not something that I actually am able to grasp myself, right? It's an expression of me as a person connected to spirit that has a religion, a faith, and a spirituality. So titles and labels I see as being something that helps people grasp, but not something to identify with. My identity is relied upon my actions. If I say I'm going to do something, I will. It's honorable. If I say in clear communication about what I believe in, it's not just a statement. It's like coming from who I am as a living being. And so I really appreciate our conversations because it's like it opens up this other like road or route that we can walk on together, rather than letting those things get in the way. Right? Religion, spirituality, faith, all that stuff gets in the way of interaction, of communication with people. And it's because of labels. The identity gets mixed up. And that's just not Pono.
Love it,
It's
right?
not authentic, it's not balanced.
I mean,
not because I said so. That's just what happens.
Well, and it's funny you just took the hood off right now, because I was just wanting to speak to also, the embodiment and this integrity, and when we brought that back in, what came through spirit is the Jed, right? And so, and you had the hood in, so you were in full Jedi, embodiment at that point. And the Jed is around integrity. It's the pillar, piece that holds the integrity of whatever structure, right? And so, and that comes back to what we're speaking to Pono. Aloha. Come on in. I
got you though. The Jed with the integrity.
Right.
Hold on. This is good. Hey, baby.
Can I come in?
Can I come in?
Come in. We live right now, so just know that.
This is awesome.
Right. I mean,
but that's the same thing. Like what you're saying with the integrity. That's important. It's like, putting on the hood as a shroud. It's like for me in my body, it's like, oh yeah, I hear it. And now there's just a little something that I need to do, to understand. It's like the knock on the door. You're in the middle of talking about the Jed and the integrity. And there's a knock at the door, and it's your daughter.
Right.
Do we listen or do we ignore? Do we listen or do we ignore? That's the big part of the integrity that I believe is that a lot of people, from what I've seen, and this is just me expressing it, are like my intuition.
It's not on the phone, it's in the headphones.
And I'm wondering to myself, is that your intuition guiding you, or is it your past traumas informing you? Like, what is it really? Because when I see it, I'm like, how come your actions are leading you into places and the only thing you have to say about it is, this is not the way I want it to be, or everything is like negative, so to say. It's not going the way you want it to. Your intuition isn't worth much then if the response to your life is why me, woe is me. It's like, knock on the door, listen, and you're going to answer because there's beauty awaiting for you. Or you're going to be upset because we're doing something. No, invitation.
Yeah.
Especially for the younger ones.
Yes,
That's to me and listening and what's key. That's Pono. Authenticity, balance, integrity, moving with the thing.
Oh.
And this isn't just me talking. It's like these are lessons that come by way of our multi-species ancestry, by our collective consciousness that is around us. The relationship to plant, animal, mineral, and ethereal is important for us to understand ourselves as human beings. So as we continue on this journey, on this path, especially with Pono Podcast and however it may be, one of the keys is like how you're saying with the jet, the understanding, the integrity. Key.
Yeah.
The banana is not concerned about your political allegiance or what your past story was or whatever mistakes you think you made or how much jail time you've had or what you're buying at the store. She doesn't care. She is the mother of the jungle. She will take care of her babies. She will take care of those that are around her, even if she has to sacrifice herself in the way that she does. And then she'll provide a rack. And that's the beautiful thing too, is that rack of bananas for most species, that's all they give, is that one rack. Once that rack is done, pulp, we eat. Fortunate for us, we have food. And then that part of the tree, the spiral, cut down. Because they've already given what they needed to give. They can still provide, but they can provide more through the death. Cut, strip, put into halves, put into the ground, surround other trees and plants to let that moisture go in and let the bugs come and collect and eat the compost. Life and death all the time. That's integrity.
And it's so beautiful, bro. Like, you know, I had so much healing even just hearing that, you know, to know more about the banana and the mother of the jungle, the mother of the forest. You know, coming out of the hike and forest history, the beauty of the forest and all of there's so much wisdom when just listening and to, you know, that's why we're going barefoot, because the listening is deeper when we're connected in our own root systems, you know, as walking, breathing, living trees that we are.
Yes.
You know, and then
we're inverted trees.
Right? Yeah. So to think about
ball is all up in here.
Yeah. You know, to think about the mother of the forest, you know, being a banana and us being trees, you know, and those lessons are powerful, you know, and even how closely related to. I remember reading like it's science. There's like 70. We share 78% of our DNA with a banana, bro.
Totally. That's why you got a banana onesie.
That's it. Right?
Like, remember everybody? 78%.
You know, right? Exactly. Reminders, you know.
Reminders constantly.
And she's, thank you also for really presencing that, because I had to work through that too. That like times where it's like, you know, she wants to participate. She wants to engage. She wants to be included. She wants to feel a sense of belonging, right? So she comes in and it's like, and when we say no to this, you know, because we have our own baggage, you know, our own restrictions, really, right? And then we actually, our own restrictions end up constricting others.
Exactly.
You know, instead of nurturing that. And I want to nurture.
A denial of yourself is a denial of others. I don't make a big case for individualism at all. It's all relational. Yet, if you're going to deny what's being asked of you, then how can you be in relationship? That's why I don't like personal truths. Personal truth is a big one for me because that creates a separation. This is my truth and it's only my truth and no one else can touch it or be of it. Well, great, go sit in that then. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just that you have your personal truth and you go about your way with all the good intentions, yet you're still harming others because your personal truth is above everyone else's you know, communication and contribution to you. That's childish. You know, we have to grow up. Personal truths have no room with adulthood. I mean, look at this.
Right.
Your daughter is here now. Like, what a blessing. Like, good. She knocked on the door. You know, okay, cool. Come around. You know, if we were like standing in our truth, it'd be like, oh no, she can't because we're busy doing this thing.
Right.
This is what's important right now. We're trying to call in people. Like, oh yeah, we call in people.
Yeah. Exactly.
The babies too.
Yeah.
She wants to be with her dad and her uncles. The way that we talk, I believe, is giving to people what they did not have when they were younger.
Mm.
They weren't able to hear these conversations.
Mm.
They weren't able to sit amongst the lion's den, amongst other men who have been doing their best with less.
Mm.
You know, that's been a big thing.
Yeah.
We did not have our forefathers and our forebears teaching us how to be men. They taught us how to survive. They taught us how to live in the system so that we would make it. And that time had its time. Now this is the time.
Mm.
It's a different time. And we can call it new world or new age or whatever. I don't know. I don't have a word for it. I simply say ancient future. It's as simple as I go. Ancient future. Maybe you emphasize a little more ancient, maybe you emphasize a little bit more future, whatever it may be. Put the, you know, the emphasis on the right syllable, you know, emphasis on the syllables.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
And that's aloha.
That is aloha.
Right? Coming back to presence, you know, because it's really that presence to like just to be here and to be able to share breath, you know, to share these words and to share, because it's frequency. You know, when we speak about, you know, like, right, our words, like, there's the words that we speak are carrying a vibration that is rippling across the vastness of the sea of space. You know, and so it's all going to be interconnected sooner or later. We may not see the effects of having the conversation in this way, or the generations of not having the conversation, or having a conversation without the full inclusion of, you know, everyone, you know, and when we speak to everyone, that's like, we come back to the plants and the animals, the minerals, the fullness of all life.
We need to.
Then to look at it, like, even putting ourselves as humans sometimes, and like, oh, we're more important, you know, right? Yeah, you know, right? It's like, come on now, you know, like we were the last ones here.
Exactly.
So we were more important. We were the last ones.
We are because they are, right?
Because they are.
So yes, that's the energy, right? So like everything that I share with you is simply a brother to another brother, out of respect for a father and a son. You know, as I'm not a father. You know, but I get to witness a father and understand fatherhood.
It'll be a good one, bro.
That's the energy.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I have men like you. Like, that's the energy, right? That I'm picking up on. That's the frequency. When I hear you talk and see how you act and how you behave, that gives me the confidence in myself to welcome fatherhood one day, or to welcome, you know, these other things coming. So yes, we can dwell on what we did not have. We can dwell on that all day long if you want, you know, or we can say that's what it was and this is what it is now. And I can carry that through without forgetting and not denying it, not neglecting it, and not having resent or guilt or shame around it. Just simply, it's a good visit. You know, and
you know what I want to get into on this with you right now, bro?
Yeah.
Because so today, what, the 24th, but either way, we're in February, which is can be called and we put a label to this as Black History Month.
Oh, yeah.
And the theme of this month is reconciliation. And so that's the energy that I was feeling as you're speaking to, like, we can dwell on the things that have nots, that did nots, that should nots, and all of the things, and looking back into past, right, or ancient, right, looking behind. But if we're like dwelling on that energy, and that's what we're actually pulling from, or where our grounded energy is coming from, then we're only going to be projecting that and perpetuating that into our future.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, because what I'm hearing in that is that we made the old story more real than what's actually happening, right? So it's like a hungry ghost from the past that still comes around. So February Black History Month. You know, there's a lot of opinions on how or why that thing is here. I just want to get to the point. There is a Black History Month because there is a white history. You see what I mean? If there was not this idealism of whiteness, there would not need to be a blackness or a brownness or yellowness or anything else. So the invitation for things to be pono is to not identify with any of that. It does not matter in what we're doing here. That is not Pono. It is not in harmony. It is not in balance. It is a creation of a construct to continue to create extraction and colonialism. So Black History Month, yes. Reparations, reconciliation, important, but not just for 1 month. Every day.
Every day.
And that's the good quality of the masculine. I believe the masculine has the quality for retribution. Things have happened. The story, in a way, is not written, but it's been told. And as soon as it gets written, then there's an authorized version, and now everybody's reading the thing, and therefore it becomes the truth. That's why I have difficulty with personal truths. Being Black or brown or white is a simple little identity that doesn't need to be there. But reconciliation, retribution, reparations, some deep understandings within those words that I'm not able to approach right now. But I can say the re in there, a returning, like a resource, going back to the source. What is it? Is that what we're talking about? Long live, the land, long live. If that's our orientation, that's where we're going, what does race and color have to do with any of this? Nothing. Systematic, right? So artistry, that's what I like talking about. Artistry and imagination. Not to combat, not to anything, but to hold another container for all that other stuff that's spinning around that people are getting lost in. They have another route, there's another path. And it takes more imagination rather than rational thinking. It's not about objective knowledge to objectify and this and that. It's about self-knowledge. And the self in relationship doesn't exist, right?
Right.
So whose knowledge is it? It's a shared knowledge.
Right.
So if I want to create, like look out here, like in Hawaii, the same thing. We've had colonization, plantations have been here, and we got, the ghost nutrient, sugar, the whole thing.
Right.
What does that have to do with my skin color? Nothing. It's happened all over the world.
Right.
To people of different shades of color. So what is the real story? The real story is the elements in the land and the communication. And how we speak as human beings. Looking outside of ourselves to understand. We keep looking at this history. Whose history is it? Not mine. I'm not one to dwell in the past, but I know the past. Call it history, herstory, whatever. It's not those simple language changes that are going to change anything. It's our relationship to it. Always. Yeah.
And the same word changes can support the beginnings or the steps towards, the reconciliation, the retribution, the regeneration, the recreation.
Yes.
By it's kind of an initial piece that can support that. I know I've had experience, for instance, like women coming back to reconciliation and how we've looked at different ways of divisiveness and how that's come through, adding gender to the equation here, right? Of course, and to the pot that we're speaking to.
I'm listening. I gotta go visit the banana tree one time. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's the experience of history, seeing his story in history, and then her story, and seeing her story in this story, and then there's talk story. This is what I love about Pono Podcast, and what we're doing with this is really coming together and talking story. I love this piece of what I've learned being here on Maui, and I'm using this also as a moment here on Maui, and the amount of wisdom, the learning that is taking place. Like, I feel like I've grown exponentially in such a small amount of time because of the richness of the diversity of the humans, the Kanaka, the plants, the animals, the minerals, the frequency, all of that. And so her story allowed for experiences or an opening to have a conversation that could bring about healing through reflecting upon our experiences here, the self-experience.
Yes.
You know, that's what it did. Her story opened that up. And there's times kind of like I had like hero, you know, when we're like, well, where's the heroes are all these men, and then they wanted to go like, oh, so we need a heroine, and then all of a sudden we're calling you heroine.
Yeah. There's that trigger too.
Yes. Yeah, right. And there was already her and hero, you know, and it's like how sometimes we constrict ourselves, we bind ourselves, we enslave our own consciousness, you know, in past trauma and past wounds.
Yeah.
And in the past could be yesterday.
Yeah.
Too, when I speak about past, it could be 2 minutes ago, it could be an hour, it could be, you know, whenever that happened, but we're still driving, and there still needs to be the bringing forth into the present and what we want to call forth into the future.
Yes, totally. And yeah, I love that, because yes, there's like trigger points to it too. It's like her story, history. So we're looking at these little fragments within the word and adjusting them, which is good. Yet that also leads us to a lot of pronouns. Okay. Right? And that's
English
what
language.
Yes, English language. So the English that we're speaking today is one that's constructed upon commercialism, right? So more options, more access, more mobility, more, grow. You know what grows just to grow for growth's sake is a tumor. It's not healthy. You can be perceived as a healthy body, but you still have a tumor. And so the language, right? So like, I am not someone that wants to get confused in the ego meeting ego mirror game, right? Oh, I have this ego. Like, where'd that word even come from? Freud? Who's that? Is he your grandfather? Is he here right now? Has he given anything to your life other than a book? You know, what is the Freudian psychology doing for me? Even Jungian. I only give them so much. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I'm just using that simply to approach people because we've all been indoctrinated. So I'm going to use the language of the colonizer to reach to you to understand. So making little adjustments in the word from history to her story, from hero to heroine. Yeah, you can do that. And pronouns.
Babylon.
Oh, now we're just babbling around. This is where I'm coming to. This is what I mean. This is why I love this, talking with you, because your energy and being around you incites this in me. It wants to like converse about this.
Yeah.
And
mutuality.
So the ego of the modern society will create problems that do not exist because of privilege, affluence, and most importantly, entitlement. We are entitled to have safety wherever we go. Occupational hazards, right? What's that called? The booklet, the manual that you get when you get a job. OSHA.
OSHA, exactly. OSHA, processes and procedures, you know.
Somehow that went from the workspace to the living space. This is the requirements of how we're supposed to be without a culture, mind you. Just psychology, therapy, sociology, archaeology, anthropology, they're all ologies. From where? From who? From what language? In what way? This is called radical vision. That's what I say. This is a radical visionary right now through cultural innovation and spiritual activism. You want to cast spells? Well, I got spells too. You want to talk about words like this? Well, like I've got some glyphs and I got some runes. You know anything about that? I've got sign language. Do you know? So we're getting confused and we're yapping about things that are actually causing us harm. So the more you try to get away from something, the more it approaches you. So the more you want to have safe spaces, the less safe spaces there will be, because you will create it in a way that suits your needs as an individual. This is what I propose. Safety can only be afforded to you when you feel safe within yourself. And the only way you can do that is by understanding your relationships and the spaces that you are a part of. If you are not recognizing your own consequences that you create within the spaces that you're in, then it will never be safe because you're not taking responsibility for yourself. However, men like us can secure spaces. That's what we can do. We can hold containers for those that need to have an expression, can be shared without being reproached, without being abused, exploited, or taken advantage of. That's called security. I cannot provide for you safety within yourself. I can only give you security. And to be secure is meaning trust. Trust, honor, communication. If you don't trust me, then there won't be security, and that's fine. This is not the space for you, and that's okay. But if you're looking for safety and you're demanding it from me, I can't do that either. I can easily refer to you in the pronoun that you would like. However, why do you need to do that? Why are you referring yourself in such a way? Where is it coming from? Get to the origin of the thing. So validation is another one. Why are we looking for validation? Oh, because we have not been treated the way that we wanted to be treated. So now we're being selfish, and that is called childish. It's immaturity. I mean, when your daughter comes and she knocks at the door, what do you do as a father? You open the door. Even though you're busy doing something, she's hungry. What do? You make her food. It's not about you in that moment.
Yeah.
So if this is Pono Podcast, we're starting on a good foot. Let us establish some standards. Let us establish some understanding of language and communication, because we want to invite everyone in, and also recognize what you're being invited into. The world is not a safe place. You think an eagle hunting a fish is somehow making the eagle evil? Is the buffalo trampling on a person an evil buffalo? These are all predator prey relationships. Is the toxicity, the poison within a plant, make that plant evil? I mean, what is the safety there? Zero. But there is security. The plant having poison is security. The dog having teeth is security. The lion having claws is security. It's not some demonization. It's not something to point out. It's simply like recognize what you are amongst so that others may live. Not about you anymore. That's what's Pono. Authentic into the root, rep the roots so it may bear fruit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I.
And once we get it, we got the loot. And now we listen to the owl hoot. It's like the question keeps coming. The inquiry, the question, always. Not demands. We need to grow up. It's time now.
It's time. And in that time too, like to come back to the safe piece, I love acronyms.
Yeah.
And that was the first word when looking at safe, the S, secure, adaptable, free, energy.
Yes, that's what we have within us. That's a sovereign act, to be safe within yourself. Yes, create that. I love that acronym.
Yeah.
I love that acronym on the level that it's personal. But that didn't say TRUTH.
Right. Right.
It said SAFE for me. See what I'm saying? And that's why I love this too. It's like the language, and we can embody it. How? Acronyms, using your hands, using your body, right? CHAOS, chaos, both. ORDER, order. I got both.
Right. Right. All right. So order is going to be my homework assignment today. And all of you out there, if you want to take on a little acronym homework assignment, part of our way of interacting with one another, because deep codes, from my experience, deep codes come through by way of listening in into what the self wants to learn from a word. And I want to come into a place too of part of what the intentions are of Pono Podcast is around also spotlighting the brilliance, the everyone who is going to be participating in this, every gift that they have to offer.
Right.
And you spoke to what, like bringing security, you spoke to what we're doing in the men's work that we're doing, what we're doing in growing our village, but it comes back to really creating a safe container, an environment.
A secure container.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. Taking the acronym, because once I put the acronym out there, now you know what I mean by safe. And because this is where we originally met, actually first time with a dance, at a ecstatic dance.
Yeah.
And was I wearing a banana outfit on that day? I don't think I was on that day.
You weren't that day, bro. No, you just came up when we were talking, then I saw you at Neil's house.
Yeah. But it was a soul moment for sure of like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for you. And then since then we've been participating together in a lot of circles and a lot of space,
Totally.
Sacred, protected, activated, conscious environments.
Sacred, protected, activated, conscious environments, space.
Yeah, right. And so we're creating space, and the work that you're doing in the world right now, is integral, for our evolution as humanity. And you just came back from another experience in this. EMX, and your work with Sacred Sons.
Yeah.
Your work as coming back to Kale. Kaalekahi.
Kaalekahi.
Which means.
What
is Kaalekahi?
Yeah. So yes. So my route. Can I share this with you?
Is it cool? Okay. Here. There's no you sharing it with all of us.
Yeah, we're sharing the main thing is always I get the consent of the one that's next to me. I understand as far as I know for myself. I don't know what this grand work is creating, even if it is a grand work. So I've been told. We call it the men's work or the women's work or whatever. There's another label. Cool. I'm not sure as to what that means. I just know, like for me as myself, the more I step in to these spaces with others, I have to be ready within myself, loving myself, knowing myself, considering myself, being gentle with myself, all these things, bountiful in my way, because Kali doesn't exist. It's a vessel. This is a channel for something to come through. Not that I'm outside of ego. There's not about anti-ego. Like I have things that are necessary, and you'll know when Kali shows up. But a lot of times in these circles, it's not about that. It's about the connection to spirit. So being able to know myself so clearly, I can create a boundary to protect myself. And it's not about self-preservation. It's self-expression. I don't need to preserve myself. I'm good. I don't need a self-source either. I have relationships. I'm fine. So when I go into these spaces, it's about the expression so that I can see what shows up. What are the relationships that will come to fruition? So me being there is about the culture and the spirituality that shows up. So like we're saying in the beginning, religion and spirituality are not separate. Ceremony and ritual are asking very different things of us, just like sacrifices and offerings. So when I go into these ways, I must be ready in my body. I like for myself, I can't go into the esoteric, I can't go into the galactic, I can't go away from here. Because as soon as I do that, I've created a separation between myself and those that are with me. And so when it comes to the word Kaalekahi, Ka is one way to say like the projection into time and space. It can also mean the in the English language, but it's not necessarily that. It means like the thing. Like I say Ka, I shoot an arrow. I say Ka, it's like I have a tool to hit the drum. And then Ale is something that billows up. So you can see like a wave billowing up, right, before it crests. You can see clouds billowing up as it approaches the mountainside. And then Kahi means one. So what that's saying is the first billowing or cresting of a wave, which is pattern recognition. It's a navigational wave, right? A welling up of sorts. So when you see 1, 2, 3 waves, that's a set. I'm catching the third one, now I'm surfing. 1, 2, 3 clouds bunching up together, an island is near that actually has a mountain, or that the rain is coming, right? So that name as a navigational name is aiding me through my family genealogy that's been handed down to me as how to perceive my life. 1, 2, 3, pattern recognition. It's the artistry of believing. That's what I do. Hunting for our own hearts. I track it, I see it, and I go, now here's the other one. A welling up, right? When something wells up, it's like tears in the eyes. Kaalekahi means one, first to cry. My name means first to cry. I'm the first one to cry. And that's what I do.
And that's real.
When I come into these spaces,
It is real.
when I come into these spaces, that's
We
why I
share so many
said,
tears together.
yes, brother, because it's not about me.
Yeah, exactly.
I have my own work I do. I can do that with my relationships. But when I'm there in service to the people and to the visions that they have, I don't know what they are, to the growing of the village, I don't know what it looks like. I only perceive the present. I don't know how to look at the future very well at all. I just recognize the patterns. And then when the embodiedness of myself comes through, yes, full spectrum emotion. Why? Why not?
Yeah.
I have nothing to hide. I have nothing that I need to leave behind. There's no legacy for me. I cry now because someone needs to see the living example of a man like myself able to do such a thing because they've never seen it before. That's how I operate. I've never seen it before. You've never seen it before. So what am I looking at? There's no utopia. You know what utopia means? Utopia in Greek? It means nowhere. It means nowhere. There is no utopia other than right here, right now. So if the aim is to create it, what are we actually doing? And maybe this is a little relief. The middle of nowhere is the center of somewhere. So maybe we're onto something, I don't know. But my goal is not utopia. My goal is also not to cry on command either. Right, is to feel deeply, to love without hesitance, and to embody myself in a way that these things that we call elements, they're spirits, they're ancestors. I want to be with them. That's really all I care about. Everything else will fall into place. It's worth our tears.
And the depth of all of that, right? It's that depth of the water within ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what comes welling up. And
The memory.
Yeah, I feel that's why we do share so much, is because I'm not crying for myself. The tears are not coming from that space. They're coming from a deeper place.
Yeah.
It's tears for all of it. It needs watering.
Exactly.
It's feeling everything that's like that is not being nurtured by the waters right now.
Yes, man.
And tears to that.
Yeah.
So, and as you said, I mean, we talk about this a lot of, like, in our communities and in our walks. We walk into a space and we demand, in a way, there's a presence about us.
Yeah.
That commands, not
That
demands,
commands,
that commands and attention. And to have that, and I think that the reason why that is happening is because of the depth in our ability to go there.
Exactly.
To be vulnerable. Vulnerability. I shared, with Yaska the other day. I said I thanked her for teaching me about vulnerability. And this, learning deeper about that. And this is power, and especially in men, to be able to dive into our vulnerability, to show up powerfully, to be able to cry together, to laugh together, to show all of our emotions, because this hasn't been happening. I could say that I was fortunate enough to see my father cry. But I know that was rare. That's rare in most men's lives,
Exactly.
most boys' lives and sons' lives, to see that.
Yeah.
And we're healing from all of these things, and this is a great time of healing. This Plutonian energy, this Pluto energy coming in right now. With destruction comes healing. We need to destroy those things that are causing harm or causing the disharmony. Right. and bring it back into balance.
Mm.
Bring it back to Pono.
Mm-hmm. Chaos and order.
Mm.
You know, vulnerable and invincible. Standing and laying down. Protecting the security, and also providing and expanding. So, no restriction. But also, like, look at the signs. See what you're looking at. And ask more questions. So yeah, you've been on a great journey. Thank you for this. I love you.
Love you too, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's a good birthday.
it's a great birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday.
birthday, brother. Yes,
Mahalo.
thank you, everyone.
Mahalo. This was first edition Pono Podcast. You'll be able to find it on the campaignaloha.com website. We'll also be working on getting it out there and other platforms. And just big ups to the village, to the one tribe that we are, you know, one family. And looking forward to all of the continued adventures as we move into this new beginnings. You know, and
New old ways.
new old ways. New old ways. So much aloha and peace, love, bananas. Do you want to say anything? Throw up the shocks.
Oh, it's warm in here.